It might surprise you that a lot of critics have tried to make the point that a lot of the men and women mentioned in the Bible don't exist. Among others, they said David never existed, Belshazzar never existed, and Pontius Pilate. Today, we're going to look at Pontius Pilate on Hot Topics. Thanks for joining us. I'm Robert Furrow, and this is Hot Topics. If you're new here, consider subscribing and ringing the bell so you can get all of our new videos. We come out with 2 new Hot Topics each week. There are 3 historians who wrote about Pontius Pilate. Tacitus from Alexandria in 40 AD, that's just 7 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. Josephus in 75 and in 94 in 2 different writings. And Philon in 126 AD. But in the late 1800s and early 1900s, there were many critics who said that those writings had been tampered with, that Christians had control of them and they tampered with it. And since there was no archaeological evidence for Pilate, he never existed. There should have been more Roman records because he was the prefect or the governor of Judea, the Bible says. And there literally was nothing that came out of Rome. On top of that, the Bible says that Pontius Pilate was the prefect of Judea. And they say that the term prefect wasn't used until a couple hundred years later when they, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the school of higher critics claimed that the Bible, the New Testament, had been written 200 years after the events that had taken place, and the word prefect was being used with Romans, but wasn't used in 35 around the time that Pilate was the governor of Judea. By the way, most scholars agree that the Bible, the scriptures, were written in the 1st century. Some believe as far back as beginning in 45. But in 1961, all of this changed when they found a second-use stone that when they flipped it over had an inscription on it that said Tiberium, a building dedicated to Tiberius, Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea. It was discovered in Caesarea Maritime, or Caesarea by the Sea. There's Caesarea Philippi in Israel, and then there's Caesarea by the Sea. Caesarea Maritime was the headquarters for the Romans during the time of Pontius Pilate. When they found this artifact, they dated it back to the early to mid 1st century, the time that Jesus was alive and the time that Pontius Pilate was alive. They dated both the stone and the inscription because people still claim today that they found the stone and some Christians wrote it and planted it so it could be found. But inscriptions can be dated as well as the stone that they are carved into. It's interesting that this 1st century stone agreed with the Bible in using prefect, that he was a prefect of the region of Judea. He was a governor. This gives him significantly more power. Like hundreds of other archaeological discoveries, it puts to rest the arguments of the critics that the Bible is not a historical document. There still are critics today who say that some men in the Bible don't exist. I wonder what will be uncovered in archaeology before long that will prove the existence of these guys. In fact, there are significant finds in archaeology that confirm what the Bible say every single year. You can go look at the top 10 list of archaeological finds that confirm the Bible. The argument that Pontius Pilate didn't exist was used to tear down Christians in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and I wonder what kind of arguments are used today to cast doubt. Only a small amount of what could be uncovered by archaeologists has been. I wonder what's on the horizon for us. If you like this video, click the like button. It really helps. And the comment section is open below. We want to hear what you think about these finds and what archaeology is doing to confirm or deny the scriptures. I hope this video has been helpful. See you next time on Hot Topics.